Back again with new podcast, new topic to discuss, new topic to talk, and welcome back. Welcome back, first of all. And today I'll be talking about isolation, being a lone wolf that many criticize, but I don't. Anyway, so yeah, isolation, isolation that many here's the thing that I've just come out with, isolation that many take it as a curse, but it is a blessing in disguise for many men, which helps him to find himself through isolation. And that's true. How many of we have all been hearing in our whole life, that we should always be in a certain group, in a community, in a society. And as a human, yes, probably yes. Isolation is always taken as a taboo. You see a man who's isolated, who's by himself. Many calls him mental challenge. I'll be honest. And isolation is often viewed as scary thing. To be. Ask yourself. When was the last time you loved to live by yourself? With your thoughts, I think many people they can't even live by themselves with their thoughts, the scary thoughts they get, the demon that living inside your mind gives you, and that's why isolation is often criticized by many. And maybe now I can say it as a blessing, because what I've realized is it's when a man, this saying, when a man has to find himself, God isolates him. And not just isolation, not just it is scary, but for how long are you gonna be among people, trying to fit in? For how long are you trying to please just because you're afraid to be with yourself? We never try to be with ourselves. We never learn to live with ourselves. We are always doing this and doing that. We never learn to take a step back and just observe and just, what's that word, be conscious about how our life is really going. We never do. What we do is we are in this race, we are watching others, we are competing in a wrong, let's just say in a wrong competition filled with materialistics, and we are being sheep. And of course many people won't agree with me when I say I love being a lone wolf, because as a human being, especially in this generation, we have this lone wolf mentality that we can do it ours by ourselves. And I have it, and it may sound like an ego or a bad ego, but my point here is I don't believe that we should be isolated completely, washed away from all the civilization. We are living in some mountains, completely isolated, like a fucking Yeti, if Yeti exists, or some mythical creature. No, we should be among people, agreeable, and I am but right now I didn't choose this isolation for myself. I was forced upon it by life. Many things happen in my life, and of course, same as others, I didn't want it to be isolated as well. I always wanted to be among people. I always wanted to be in a group of people, going out with friends, hanging out, partying, drinking, smoking, and when I'm alone, maybe watching TV, I never give time to myself. And I like to talk about myself, because others might not see me as a great set of an example, because I have not achieved many things, but in my eyes, for me, a guy of a person I am, I have become, let me just rephrase it, I have come a long way, and you know, from who I was to who I am, and it's all because I have taken isolation as blessing. And of course, I was quite how what is that word? Critique, skeptic about isolation. I was scared. I wanted to be among people, but life forced upon me, threw me in this midst of this isolation, and all I had was my thoughts and myself, and I had to do something. I could not let, and I still cannot let, the demon living in my mind. And mind you, everybody has a bad demon living inside his mind or her mind, that makes us do bad things and take bad decisions. And we have to, and many of us don't recognize that, and we don't even realize we are under their influence, and only some bad things occurs to us. But that's not us, because we as a human have this capability of understanding what's good and bad, and that can only happen when we know ourselves. And how do you know yourself? That you'll only know about your strength, your potential, when you are giving time to yourself. And I'm not saying when I mention isolation, as a blessing, that you should completely, like I said, completely cut yourself up, not talk with anyone. Basically, well, I don't talk with most of my friends, but I'm not saying you should be like me or many, guys, like how guys are in Japan. Yes, have a good friends, but don't be a lone wolf. But what I'm trying to say here is, I'd rather be a lone wolf, trying to find a solid pack, a pack that helps me grow. That's my belief, because right now, many might say, that I'm a lone wolf and it's not a right attitude. But again, I would like to counter it, I like to question them back. What's the point of hanging out with wrong crowds? Which I did. I did that. I lived that life. I lived the life where, from my childhood till my mid-20s, I lived the life trying to please others, trying to fit in a fucking society, trying to fit in with some fucking friends, which never took me as a friend, Even though I have great friends, I still have, even though, But the question is, for how long are you gonna do that, Especially when you're losing your own identity, when you're not even being able to find your true strength. And for that, you gotta be able to find yourself, you gotta be able to know yourself, your weaknesses, your strength, how capable are you, what kind of a man you are, what kind of a woman you are. And of course, my way of isolating is not good as well, and I wouldn't say people to do that. But like I said, you gotta have friends, have that set of friends that helps you grow. You don't need 20 friends, you don't need 10 friends, you don't need to go out every time, you don't need to hang out with your friends every fucking day. Hang out with yourself, speak with your friends once in a while, and that's enough. Find your strength, build more associates, be with friends that are like your brothers and your sisters, that you are always with them, but at the same time, you should be with yourself as well. You should be spending time with your own damn self. You should be questioning your ethics, your work, you should be building your discipline, your life, because I'm sure everybody's life is hell, your weaknesses, your bad habits. And how do you do that? Only by, and trust me, and I'm saying it, you don't, nowadays everything is a fucking trauma, everything is a fucking mental trauma going on. You break up with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, that you went into trauma, but that's only because you're incapable of sitting by yourself. You're incapable of being with yourself, The only help you gotta need is yourself, You gotta help yourself. There's no man or woman coming to help you in this world. The only power you have is you. And I'm not saying it's easy to live isolated, Do I? Do I sometimes question myself? Every day. Every day I want to be this indisciplined guy. I want to go and call my friends for a drink. But that's what I gotta remind, because last time I did, I lost myself. Last time I did that, you know. And I'm not blaming anybody here. Everybody's living their own way, and I appreciate that. That's what that's what I'm trying to say. I'd rather be a lone wolf trying to find a right crowd, because now, just because the society believes that we should be always among other people, that doesn't mean that I should be in some wrong crowd that doesn't understand my discipline, that doesn't understand my work ethic. I fucking wake up at 4 o'clock, but but I know many will question this, many will criticize this, many will say this is not a right way to live, but yet many will judge me, but yet they won't judge the bad habits, and I don't want to be among those kind of people. Who I want to be among? How do I want my pack to be? A small pack, but and I don't mind if they're drinking or smoking, which I don't, but I don't mind if they don't do what I do, but the mindset, should be something fucking different. That's what I want in my pack, and mindset should be different. They should be less judgmental. They should just, in short, they should let other people do what they want, but at the same time, each one of us should grow, and of course I understand everybody has their own way of living, but that doesn't mean their bad habit should get. I do have a bad habit, I have my own flaws, but that doesn't mean my flaws should get the best out of others. My flaws should get the bad side of me. That's what I mean. So isolation, I think, is a blessing if you know how to be with yourself, because at the end of the day it's all your mental thing. Many things that being isolated will put you in a situation that you don't want to talk with other people, but I say I can talk with anyone. It's just that I choose not to. It's just that I choose to separate myself from those crowds that I don't belong, because not every you don't belong everywhere. You don't belong to every people. You don't belong among other people. They have their own way of living, you have your own way of living, and that doesn't mean you have to find others. Be with yourself while you still are. Go walk out alone, go for that movie alone, do that thing alone. Don't wait for others, don't wait for fucking others. Oh, my hair. And it's hard, of course. It's hard for me, it's still hard for me, but you gotta learn to make peace with yourself. That's how it is. And I don't know how much sense I make right now, but these things coming from my mind and my heart. These things are coming from those things that I actually believed. And to be honest, all this time I thought, I was afraid of living alone. But when I look back from my childhood days to now, I've always been alone. It's just me who was trying to fit in. And I question myself, what if I didn't try to fit in? I would be like this only, but many things would change. One thing would change is I would find my true strength. I would find what I want to do. And now that I've lived, let's just say I'm in a complete isolation. Of course, I have my family members and I love them, but I don't want to be in a part of a wrong crowd where I don't belong, where they don't understand my lifestyle. They don't understand why I wake up. They don't understand why I write. They don't understand why I make content like this right now. If they are being skeptic or if they are being judgmental towards that, I don't want to be in that crowd. Like I said, I don't mind if they drink or smoke or they party, but if they want to be in my crowd, then they better be disciplined with their thoughts and their habits, because I am gonna be, and that's what isolation taught me all these years. And of course, that doesn't mean I want to live like this, like a fucking hermit or a monk. No, I would like to go out with my friends. I would like to go out, if later in life, with my colleagues and associates or business partners. I would like to gather around, have fun, but fun doesn't mean you lose yourself every day you go out. Fun doesn't mean you have to try to fit in and live accordingly how your boss wants to live. Be a free man. That's what I've always believed. Learn Learn to be a man who believes in his own self, you know, who's not afraid to be alone. If don't try to be a person, whether you are a girl, woman, boy, or a man. Don't chase people, you know. Let people come to you because who you are, you know. Don't chase people. Don't be fucking desperate guys, because I was always desperate, and that's why maybe I can say this clear and loudly, you know, how I feel about isolation. And now, even though I didn't choose that life, but now I'm living, and it's hard. Every day is hard, of course. I'm a human being after all, filled with emotions, you know, and feelings. But that's what a disciplined man should do, you know. You should learn to control your emotion, and maybe, you know, and even when you go out with your friends, don't try to fit in. Don't try to be with something that you're not. Have fun, enjoy life, but build a good and strong bonding, you know. But until then, be that lone wolf. Be that lone wolf that you are. Conquer yourself, conquer your bad habits, conquer your strong